for me, and please, I know I'm going to say something, and I don't want you to take this personally, Pam, because this is what happened. Last year, around this time actually, I'm alone. We just got married, yada, yada. I'm alone. Austin goes to work. I have all this time on my hands. Don't really know what to do. We're in this new spot. I'm thinking, well, I don't want to live here. And then I thought, well, I don't know if I'm going to be here for a long time. I might as well sow some seeds, try and be a part of this community, whatever. Started going to church. In Catholic,
every week.
Yeah.
We went every Sunday. I dragged her. Sometimes I dragged her to church.
In Catholic tradition, when you're married, that's really when you.
Your family.
Your family.
You go every Sunday.
You go every Sunday.
Yeah.
You become a part of your community. Your community is the most important thing that you have. Your church family. So I realized, oh my gosh, I may have thought I was spiritually an adult, but I'm an adult now. I could have kids. I would have to raise them up Catholic. I need to know what I'm talking about. So I realized I need to dive in. I realized I could be doing more, and I decided to do so. Now, what you have here is me suddenly going to church more often. And at the same time, I'm trying to figure out why you lied to me. When you said, I don't think that you took Austin away from your faith, I started to keep thinking, why does she think that? And I'm thinking, what did I do? And I keep thinking, well, did I ever tell Austin anything? And I thought, no. He told me more stuff. He always trying to get me to come to his church. I told him, and I was always okay with it, but I really had to convince him to come to my church.
Right.
I never really told him I never said anything like that. So why in the world, it wasn't making sense. I don't understand where this was coming from, okay? And so I just kept thinking, what is going on? So all these scenarios came in my head. I thought, number one, is she crazy? What is going on? Why is she saying this? All these things.
You're looking for
an
answer.
I come to a point where at the same time I keep looking myself, what did I do wrong? What was it I did? And that's when a lot of anger came, because I realized I didn't do anything. And then I have this person saying this when I didn't do anything, and I can't see what I did. Now, you have that time span where the Catholic drama happens again.
Yeah.
So then I'm already in this, I guess, emotional space of what did I do wrong spiritually to attack him, to do this to him. Am I doing it now? What am I doing? And then you have the Catholic Church thing happen, and that was the end for me.
I heard it was Easter.
It was around Easter.
She said, we're not coming back. I looked at her like...
I was at church, and I said, oh my God, I can't come here anymore. We can't come back here.
It was actually good service. They had a really good Easter service, too.
To you it was?
Oh.
He was lying on the pulpit. What? It was
entertaining.
What?
Oh, you talking about a speech afterwards? Yeah. No, but the whole service. I thought the service, this is the best service I had there. It was very entertaining. It was packed.
It was hard. Basically, what he said is that the church needs healing. Yeah. This is a tough time. And I'm thinking, a tough time for you? What about those kids that were molested? What are you talking about? This is BS. And after that, I just realized there was no accountability. They were just sweeping it under the rug again. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I couldn't come back anymore.
10 time.
And then after that point, I thought, well, where do I go? No other church has the history. No other church can put their lineage back to the original biblical times. Where do I go? I realized if I can't find a church that I believe is standing right, I'm alone. And if that's how it's going to be, that's how it's going to be. So at that point, we would only do home worship. That's basically where we got tried.
Yeah.
Talking to Austin was difficult.
I didn't do home worship.
Little did I know I was talking to an atheist.
Yeah.
But
that's why I went to church worship. So I didn't say anything.
So I got to this point where I was like, I can't depend on these people. How would I know if this person's corrupt or not? There's no way. I can only depend on myself. That's it. Me trying to put this person on a pedestal because they have this education, they have these years, doesn't make any sense. When I can get the education, it's 20 2010, I could get the same education. I could get the same amount of years. So why aren't I? If I'm taking this seriously, why am I not? So you get to a point where, once, just like Austin did, I dove in.
Yep.
Read my Bible. I realized in the past I was always holding on to what the church told me to read, the passages they told me to read.
You don't read the Bible. When you're Catholic, you don't read the Bible. You read
the Gospels, basically.
Passages of the
Gospels
Bible.
and, like,
you don't read the... If my slave kills your slave, and
you don't
how many
read
times
that.
they can beat your slave.
You read New Testament. They're really big on the New Testament, which I knew. I realized I didn't know the Old Testament. And what you had here, I realized all the effort that I put in my schooling, the books, the reading, I wasn't doing that with the Bible, and that didn't make sense. And I understand if I did it for my school, because it was going to affect my life, the career I can get, all these things, why wouldn't I do it with the Bible? The thing that's going to affect my internal life. I would dive in. I would do the exact same thing. So what you have is, I dove in. Started reading some things, really reading. Started noticing some contradictions. And
you came to me with them. I'm like, yeah. And at that point, I couldn't say, oh, that's not true. I wouldn't lie. If there's a contradiction, there's a contradiction.
And then I would say...
If Job said he died here in this gospel, and then the beginning of Acts he dies in this field, he explodes, or lack of a better term. I mean, those are two different stories.
And it was just so puzzling. So, couldn't go to the church anymore.
Not Job. Judas. Sorry, Judas. I'm sorry, not Job. Judas.
So,
Judas.
what you had is... So, I went to... Christian sites, and I thought, well, I can't trust one, I need to go to all of them. So on one day I'd pick a Methodist site, one day I'd pick a Lutheran site, one day I'd pick, whatever, just to get...
I remember those weeks. Those were funny.
Just to get which one was true. And what I kept noticing is whenever, I found a link that supposedly answered the question that I was trying to ask or find, if someone else had asked it, they didn't answer the question. They made up, there was this long paragraph of stuff, but it didn't answer the question.
Right.
It was a sidestep. Or they answered a question that wasn't asked. And I was like, what are they doing? Then what you had was, I realized, oh my God, these people really do lie. It's just lies. So I got to a point and I didn't know what to do. Finally I said, I can't listen to people anymore. I just kept thinking, if the Bible says this, then I have to believe it. If God didn't want it to be in here, then he wouldn't have put it in. If he didn't want it, if this is not true, God wouldn't have put it in. So then, I started to think about, I think finally what just broke everything was I got to a point, I was thinking about Sabbath worship and Sunday worship. And I was like, I've always heard why people do it on Sundays. And Catholic Church would tell you, or most Christian church would tell you, because Jesus rose on Sunday, basically. That was basically their answer. And then I thought, if that was the case, they would have done that since Jesus died.
Correct.
And when you look at history, you realize the Catholic Church changed it to Sunday.
Correct.
For no other reason, because they wanted to absorb their Romans.
Which is why they did. Which is why they added Christmas. Which is why they added
Christmas.
Easter.
Why they added Easter. All of it is pagan.
Yeah, Easter.
There's no Christian part of it.
They had a celebration of Christ living, but the actual Easter as we know it.
Easter is Esther is the fertility god.
Yeah, Esther is the fertility god. Yeah. Eggs. That's why we have eggs.
That's why you have eggs. That's why you have chickens and rabbits. Because they reproduce like crazy.
Yeah.
And so I got to this point where I have all these churches who go to church on Sunday, all of them knowing that it's false, and yet still doing it. We have a big problem. Yeah. And then they're lying and saying that, it's because Jesus died on Sunday. That's a lie. And I remember coming out from the bedroom, and I remember having the Bible in my hand, and I said, Austin, I don't think I believe any of this anymore. And I remember your response so well, because you were so funny. You said, I haven't believed in years. Welcome to the club. And from that point on, that was it for me. And it didn't stop. My Bible reading didn't stop there. I don't want you guys to think that.
No, she didn't just, she kept on reading.
No, I kept on reading. Yeah. I went to everything.
But I was pretty quiet. I didn't say much.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to convert somebody.
And I
don't try to convert anybody. My job isn't to convert. That's the last thing I want to do. The Bible tells you to go convert. When you stop believing the Bible, that's the last thing you want to do is convert somebody. Now you want to not convert. So go to the world and tell the nations, etc. I don't want to. It's the last thing I want to do. I don't knock on doors saying, "Are you want to be a humanist?" I mean, you don't.
So you get to a point where
humanism is for you.
When I got to that point, I went through all of. I can't say that it was just there. It was basically, I would backtrack. Am I really saying this?
Yeah.
Am I really?
So she's fought for.
Am I really saying that means this is not real?
Yeah.
And that means this is not real. Yeah. And this is not real.
Yeah.
If that's true, then where does this come from?
Also, you didn't talk about the Haitian earthquake that hurt you.
Oh, Haitian earthquake was a whole.
Yeah, that was a big.
That was a part of it too.
Yeah.
But.
When 200,000 people die. Plus.
And, I would go back and and then I realized, well, I need to make sure of this. Continue to read the Bible. And every now and then the fear would come up. And then I realized that, why am I afraid? There should be no need for fear. If it's true, it's true. There should be no, if it's true, it's true. Why are you, trying to scare me? That doesn't make any sense.
Well,
when I would see, when I would continue to go to these Christian sites, they would say, oh, these people, if you don't do this, you're going to hell. And I'm thinking, why would you even bring that up? I understand that you believe it as it's true, but it's a fear thing. You're playing to someone's fear. And I was thinking, and you're playing to someone's fear saying X when I already could show you where you're lying on all these other links that aren't true. So if you're lying over here, why should I believe you over here? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So then it got to a point where I would backtrack. Am I saying this is true? And the more I read the Bible, and the more, my personal morals would start to contradict. Even though I didn't really believe anymore, I realized if this is true, if this isn't true, it makes more sense. And the more I learned, the more the Bible started to make sense to me. I know why it says certain things. I know because once
you realize that's how the Bible's written, the whole thing makes sense, especially the Old Testament.
Old Testament makes so much sense. New Testament makes so much sense.
The argument of the transitioning from polytheism to monotheism, and then how they became monotheistic and had to backtrack, make their polytheistic God monotheistic.
There's a reason why it says our image.